Welcome back to Dr. Gilbert Healthy Aging. I am Dr. Gilbert. Today we are going to open a door to a very dark room that many seniors over the age of 70 sit in completely alone, trapped by a deep fear they rarely talk about with their spouses, their adult children, or even their primary care doctors. It is not the fear of a sudden cardiac arrest, nor is it the fear of a terminal illness. It is the quiet, creeping, and terrifying realization that your own body is no longer obeying your commands when you try to move through space. It is the sudden realization that you cannot walk in a straight line anymore. Let us paint a vivid clinical picture that I see inside my medical office almost every single week. You stand up from your favorite recliner to walk into the kitchen for a fresh glass of water. 10 years ago, your walking trajectory was laser straight, quick, and completely effortless. But now, as you step into the hallway, you notice an unsettling, ghostly sensation. Your body feels like a ship caught in a gentle but persistent crosswind. You fully intend to walk directly down the exact center of the rug, but your steps unconsciously veer slightly to the left or drift softly to the right. To compensate for this drift, you find yourself reaching out to brush your fingertips against the wallpaper or grabbing the edge of a doorframe just to stabilize your path. When you go grocery shopping at the supermarket, you realize that you feel immensely safer holding onto the metal handle of the shopping cart. Not because the cart is full of groceries, but because that metal cart has become your rolling anchor, the only thing keeping you from drifting off balance. When you walk down a sidewalk with your friends or your partner, you constantly bump shoulders with the person walking next to you, laughing it off as a clumsy mistake. But deep down, inside your chest, your heart tightens with dread. You are terrified because you feel like a stranger inside your own skin. You ask yourself in the mirror, why can't I just walk straight anymore? The standard medical advice you receive when you complain about this issue to mainstream healthcare providers is usually disheartening, dismissive, and profoundly incomplete. You are told, well, you have some osteoarthritis in your knees, your spine is experiencing normal degenerative disc disease, and you are over 70 now. What do you expect? It's time to slow down, accept your limitations, and here is a prescription for an aluminum cane. Or perhaps it is time to look at a rolling metal walker. But as a physician, I am here to look you directly in the eyes and tell you that this traditional response is an absolute disservice to your independent longevity. Handing a person a cane without explaining why they are veering in the first place is like putting a small Band-Aid on a massive leaky pipe inside your wall. It masks the visible symptom while the structural foundation continues to rot away beneath the surface. In this comprehensive mega-masterclass, we are going to look far beneath the skin. I am going to explain the hidden anatomical and neurological shutdown that destroys your biological ability to walk straight after the age of 70. And more importantly, I am going to reveal the real neuroplastic fix that mainstream medicine completely ignores. A profound, drug-free solution that can retrain your neural highways, stabilize your internal compass, and restore your ability to stride forward with the laser-focused stability of your youth. If you are truly ready to stop drifting, stop clutching at walls, and completely reclaim your physical independence, eliminate all background noise and distractions right now. This will be the most important hour you spend on your health this year. Before we break down the anatomy, take a moment to click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you are always equipped with the real clinical truths for healthy aging. Let us begin by uncovering the hidden systems that control your straight line. To fix a complex machine that is veering off course, a mechanic must first understand the internal navigation computer that guides it. Walking straight is not a simple action performed by your leg muscles. It is an incredibly complex, high-speed computational feat managed entirely by your central nervous system. Every single millisecond you are in motion, your brain must integrate real-time data streaming in from three independent, interconnected sensory pillars. The first pillar, your visual anchor. Your eyes do far more than just allow you to see obstacles. They act as your body's primary visual leveler. When you walk forward, your eyes track the horizon line, the vertical lines of doors, and the straight edges of walls. Your brain uses these environmental markers to build an internal map of what is straight and upright. However, after 70, our visual system undergoes a massive biological change. It is not just about needing reading glasses. We experience a decline in contrast sensitivity, the neurological ability to distinguish between subtle shades of light and shadow on the floor, and a loss of peripheral vision. Furthermore, many seniors wear bifocals or progressive lenses. When you look down through a progressive lens while walking, the bottom portion of the lens distorts your perception of the floor, altering your brain's spatial geometry and causing your trajectory to drift. The second pillar, the vestibular gyroscope. Deep inside your inner ear, surrounded by dense bone, sits an extraordinary organ called the vestibular system. It consists of 3 fluid-filled semicircular canals lined with thousands of microscopic, hair-like nerve cells. Every time you tilt your head, look up, turn around, or take a step, the fluid inside these canals moves, bending the tiny hairs. This instantly sends an electrical message to your cerebellum, telling your brain exactly where your head is positioned in space in relation to gravity. It is your ultimate internal gyroscope. As we pass the age of 70, the fluid inside these canals naturally becomes thicker and less responsive, and the total population of these microscopic hair cells drops significantly. Your internal gyroscope develops a lag. When you step, a young vestibular system reports it instantly, allowing for a microscopic correction. An aging vestibular system reports it with a microsecond delay. By the time the brain receives the data, your body has already veered an inch off course. The third pillar, proprioception and the foot-brain highway. This is the hidden pillar that almost no one talks about, yet it is the most critical element of all. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense its own position, orientation, and movement in space without looking down. It is governed by millions of specialized mechanoreceptors embedded inside your muscles, your joint capsules, and most importantly, the dense skin layers on the soles of your feet. When you stand on a surface, the mechanoreceptors in your feet measure the microscopic pressure changes. If your body sways 1 millimeter to the left, the pressure on the left edge of your foot increases. Those nerve receptors instantly flash an electrical signal up through your sciatic nerve, into your spinal cord, and straight into your brain's motor cortex, screaming, "We are leaning left. Contract the right hip muscles immediately." This happens completely automatically, thousands of times a minute. Now, look at what happens to a person after 70. Due to decades of walking on hard, artificial surfaces, wearing heavy, overcushioned shoes, and a natural decline in nerve conduction velocity, these mechanoreceptors in the feet go dark. They literally go to sleep. In medicine, we call this a loss of plantar sensitivity. When your foot-brain highway experiences this sensory blackout, your brain is effectively walking in the dark. It cannot clearly feel where the floor is, nor can it register the exact angle of your ankle joints. Because the brain is starving for spatial data from the feet, it panics. To prevent you from falling over, the brain commands your body to widen its stance, shorten its steps, and drift toward walls or objects because it is searching for an external tactile anchor to replace the missing internal signals. When all 3 of these pillars, your visual anchor, your inner ear gyroscope, and your foot-brain highway, experience a simultaneous decline, the result is the characteristic senior drift. You cannot walk straight because your brain's navigation computer is operating with corrupted, delayed, and missing data. You don't need a cane to fix your bones. You need a system reset to restore your sensory processing. Now that you understand the neurological software failure, let us examine the mechanical hardware failure that prevents you from walking straight. When a car veers to one side, a mechanic does not just look at the steering wheel, they inspect the alignment of the tires and the strength of the suspension system. In the human body, The suspension system that keeps your walking trajectory perfectly straight is located entirely inside your lateral hips. When we look at a person walking from the front, walking appears to be a forward-moving action. But, biomechanically, walking is actually a controlled series of single-leg balances. Every time you take a step, one foot leaves the ground completely, and for a fraction of a second, your entire body weight, everything you are, is supported by a single leg. The moment your left foot leaves the ground, gravity wants to pull your entire pelvis down on the left side. If your pelvis drops, your entire torso will tilt, your center of gravity will shift, and you will instantly veer to the side. What keeps your pelvis perfectly level, stable, and straight when you are standing on one leg? It is a small, incredibly powerful muscle group located on the outside of your hip called the gluteus medius and gluteus minimus, your lateral hip stabilizers. The moment you lift your left foot, the gluteus medius on your right hip must instantly contract with immense force. It pulls down on your pelvis, anchoring it tight against the thigh bone, keeping your hips perfectly horizontal. If that lateral hip muscle does its job, your body travels forward in a beautiful straight line. However, after 70, the lateral hip stabilizers are subject to a devastating phenomenon that I refer to in my clinical practice as lateral hip amnesia. How does this happen? It is caused entirely by our modern lifestyle of chronic, prolonged sitting. When you sit in a soft chair, a recliner, or a car seat for hours at a time, your hip joints are kept in a bent, flexed position. The muscles on the front of your thighs become short and tight, while the massive muscles on the back and sides of your hips are placed under constant, prolonged stretch. When a muscle is stretched out and compressed beneath your body weight for hours every day, the brain begins to turn off its neurological connection to that muscle. The neural pathways become weak and degraded. The muscle literally forgets how to fire. When you stand up after a long day of sitting and attempt to walk down the hall, you try to step forward. Your brain sends a signal to your leg to step, but when you lift one foot, the amnesic gluteus medius on the opposite side fails to contract. It stays asleep. Because it fails to stabilize, your hip drops, your pelvis wobbles out of alignment, and your body drifts to the side. To keep from falling over, you are forced to take a wide, staggered step outward. This is why you bump into door frames. This is why you sway from side to side like a pendulum, and this is why you can no longer walk straight. To make matters worse, when your lateral hips are weak, your body has to find a substitute muscle to handle the workload. It begins to overwork the muscles in your lower back and the deep hip flexors in your abdomen. This creates a destructive chain reaction. Your lower back tightens up into chronic, agonizing spasms. Your hip joints experience abnormal friction that destroys the protective cartilage, and your steps become progressively shorter and more painful. Mainstream medicine looks at this situation and tries to treat your lower back pain with heating pads and pain injections, or they look at your worn-out hip joints and suggest surgical replacement. But as a doctor, I must tell you the truth. If you do not wake up the sleeping lateral hip stabilizers, no amount of pain pills or joint surgeries will ever make you walk straight again. You must restore the suspension system of your pelvis. Now, let us move away from the problems and focus entirely on the solution. We are now going to execute the 4-phase sensory motor reset. This is the exact therapeutic routine that I developed for my senior patients who refuse to give up their independence to a cane or a walker. This routine does not require heavy weights, and it won't leave you gasping for breath. Its magic lies entirely in neuroplasticity, the brain's profound ability to grow new nerve pathways and rebuild muscle coordination at any age, whether you are 70, 80, or 90 years old. We are going to systematically wake up the nerve receptors in your feet, reactivate your inner ear gyroscope, and fire up your amnesic lateral hip stabilizers. Let us perform these 4 sequential phases together with absolute focus. The very first step is to wake up the sleeping nerve receptors on the soles of your feet so your brain can finally see the floor again. We call this exercise the floor press. How to perform it. Stand completely tall with your feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. If you feel unsteady, place one hand lightly on your sturdy chair or kitchen counter. I want you to look straight ahead. Do not look down at your feet. Consciously spread your toes as wide as they can possibly go inside your socks. Now, imagine your foot has 3 solid anchor points: your big toe joint, your little toe joint, and the center of your heel. Inhale deeply through your nose. As you exhale, I want you to actively claw and press your toes and the balls of both feet down into the hard floor with maximum intention. Press down so hard that you feel the arches of your feet lift slightly off the ground. Hold this intense downward press for 5 full seconds. Focus entirely on the sensation of pressure flooding into the bottom of your feet. Relax your feet for 2 seconds and then repeat. The dosage. Perform 10 repetitions of this 5-second press. The neuro insight. By actively forcing your muscles to press into the hard floor, you are sending a massive wave of electrical stimulation up through your peripheral nerves into your brain. You are telling your motor cortex, "Wake up, this is where the earth is." This simple act instantly increases your plantar sensitivity, providing your brain with the real-time data it needs to stabilize your stride the moment you begin to walk. Now that your feet are awake, we must calibrate your sluggish inner ear gyroscope so it can report movement accurately without delayed signals. This is called the horizon gaze. How to do it? Stand straight, keeping your hand resting firmly on your chair for safety. Pick a specific, small, unmoving object on the wall, directly in front of you at eye level. It could be a small picture nail, a dot on a painting, or a light switch. This is your visual anchor. Do not move your eyes. Keep your eyes locked onto that single point. Your eyes must not move, blink excessively, or wander. While keeping your eyes glued to that point, slowly turn your head to the right side by about 45 degrees. Turn it slowly, taking 2 seconds to complete the turn. Without pausing, slowly turn your head all the way over to the left side by 45 degrees. As your head turns left and right, your eyes must remain completely locked onto the visual anchor in front of you. The dosage. Perform 10 head turns to each side, 20 total, moving continuously and smoothly like a slow pendulum. The neuro insight. This exercise forces your brain to practice the vestibulo-ocular reflex. It forces your inner ear canals to process fluid movement while your eyes maintain a stable horizon. It trains your nervous system to calculate rapid coordinate shifts, ensuring that when you turn your head to look at something while walking in real life, your inner ear won't experience that split-second lag that causes you to veer off course. Now we are going to fix the mechanical hardware. We must wake up your amnesic gluteus medius muscles. To do this safely without straining your arthritic knees, we will perform the seated clamshell press. How to perform it? Sit right on the edge of your sturdy chair. Keep your posture tall, your chest proud, and your feet flat on the floor, touching each other. Place your open palms on the outside of your knees, your right hand on the outside of your right knee, your left hand on the outside of your left knee. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, I want you to try to push your knees outward, spreading them apart. At the exact same time, use your hands to press inward with equal force, resisting your leg movement. Your hands are pushing in, and your knees are pushing out. Because the forces are balanced, your legs will not actually move. This is an isometric contraction. Squeeze with about 70% of your maximum effort. Focus your mind entirely on the muscles on the very outside of your hips, right beneath your waistline. You should feel them hardening and firing. Hold this intense squeeze for 6 seconds, then relax. The dosage. Perform 8 repetitions of this 6-second hold, resting for 3 seconds between each rep. The mechanical insight. This isometric contraction bypasses the amnesic block. Because there is no joint movement, there is zero friction inside your hip socket, making it safe for severe arthritis. It wakes up the motor units in the gluteus medius, preparing them to hold your pelvis level the next time you stand on one leg. The final phase is the integration phase. We take the awakened feet, the calibrated inner ear, and the ignited hips, and we weave them together into a functional walking pattern. This is the tandem wall walk. How to perform it? Stand next to a long, clear wall. Your shoulders should be just an inch or two away from the drywall. This wall is your safety net. If you lose balance, you simply lean your shoulder or hand onto it. Look straight ahead down the length of the room. Do not look down at the floor. Place your left foot down. Now, take a step forward with your right foot, but place it directly, perfectly, in front of your left foot, so that the heel of your right foot touches the very front toes of your left foot. It is exactly like walking on a tightrope. As you step into this narrow position, you will feel your body want to wobble sideways. This is where your lateral hip stabilizers must instantly fire to keep you upright. Focus on pressing your toes into the floor, phase 1, and keeping your eyes locked ahead, phase 2. Take 10 slow, deliberate steps forward in this heel-to-toe fashion along the wall, then turn around and take 10 steps back. The dosage: perform 2 sets of 20 steps daily along the safety of your wall. The integration insight: this exercise completely eliminates the wide, staggered gait of the senior shuffle. By forcing your feet into a narrow, linear path, you leave your brain with no choice but to rely on its internal gyroscope and lateral hip suspension system. It is the ultimate straight-line retraining program. Now that you have the complete 4-phase sensory motor reset, let us talk about how to turn this into an effortless, daily lifestyle habit. Physical independence and balance are not built by exercising frantically once a week. It is built entirely through small, consistent, daily signals sent directly to your nervous system. To maximize your results, you must utilize the clinical principle of neural habit stacking. You do not need to alter your busy daily schedule to perform these exercises. Instead, stack them directly onto habits you already perform every single day without fail. The morning brush reset. When you stand at your bathroom sink every morning to brush your teeth, perform phase 1, the floor press. While you are brushing for 2 minutes, spend that time clawing and pressing your feet into the bathroom floor. You will start every day with your foot-brain highway fully illuminated. The kitchen kettle calibration. While you are standing in the kitchen waiting for your morning coffee to brew or your tea kettle to boil, hold on to the counter and perform phase 2, the horizon gaze. It takes less than 60 seconds to calibrate your inner ear gyroscope before you begin moving through your home. The commercial break, Tromfen ignition. Whenever you are sitting in your living room watching your favorite afternoon television program or the evening news, every time the show goes to a commercial break, slide to the edge of your seat and perform phase 3, the seated clamshell press. Use those boring advertisements to systematically rebuild the strength of your lateral hips. Beyond this routine, we must look at 2 everyday lifestyle habits that are secretly destroying your ability to walk straight. The peril of memory foam shoes. In recent years, shoe companies have heavily marketed ultra-soft, thick, memory foam sneakers to seniors, claiming they are good for joint pain. As a doctor, I must tell you that these shoes are an absolute catastrophe for your balance. Walking on a thick, soft memory foam sole is exactly like trying to walk on a giant pile of loose mattresses. Because the surface is constantly shifting and compressing, the mechanoreceptors in the soles of your feet cannot feel the solid earth. The foot-brain highway goes completely blind, causing your nervous system to panic and make you wobble. My strict prescription: switch to shoes that have a relatively thin, firm, supportive rubber sole with a wide toe box. Your feet need a firm surface to transmit clear sensory data back to your brain. The danger of low-light stagnation. Many seniors keep their homes dimly lit to save on electricity, or they walk through dark hallways at night to use the restroom without turning on the main switches. As we established, your visual anchor is one of the 3 pillars of balance. When you walk in a dim environment, you take away your brain's visual leveling data. If your feet are already numb and your inner ear is sluggish, Walking in the dark is an invitation for a severe, life-altering fall. My advice: install bright, motion-activated LED nightlights along every single pathway in your home, especially the route from your bed to the bathroom. Give your eyes the visual markers they need to keep your steps straight. My dear friends, as we draw this comprehensive masterclass to a close today, I want to speak directly to your heart. Reaching your 70s, 80s, or 90s is not a medical sentence for physical decay. It is an extraordinary milestone, a season of life that you have earned through decades of hard labor, sacrifice, wisdom, resilience, and love. You deserve to live this magnificent season of your life with absolute dignity, with a profound sense of pride, and with the complete physical freedom to move through this world entirely unassisted. Losing the ability to walk straight, feeling that terrifying sensation of drifting off balance, or being forced to clutch at walls is not an inevitable punishment for getting old. It is simply a biological puzzle, a puzzle of sleeping nerve receptors, uncalibrated gyroscopes, and amnesic hip muscles. And as you have seen today, every single one of these puzzles has a logical, scientific, and beautiful solution. Do not allow anyone, not even a well-meaning doctor, to tell you that you must simply accept a shrinking life, or that it is time to sit permanently in a soft chair and watch the world go by. Your body remains a miraculous, highly responsive organism, capable of neuroplastic growth and muscular recovery until the very last breath you take. You do not lack the capacity to heal, you simply lack the right blueprint. Now, you have that blueprint. I challenge you right now, do not let this video just be another piece of information you watch and forget. The moment this audio fades to silence, I want you to stand up from your seat. Stand tall, square your shoulders, fix your eyes on the horizon, spread your toes, and press them firmly down into the floor. Give your brain the immediate, powerful signal that you are ready to fight for your strength, ready to protect your longevity, and ready to walk straight with absolute confidence. If you found today's masterclass deeply valuable, please do not keep it a secret. Share this video with your husband, your wife, your siblings, your friends at the retirement club, or anyone you know who is silently struggling with their stability. Let us break the silence around balance loss and build a global movement of strong, independent, and vibrant seniors together. Thank you for opening your mind and your heart to me today. Remember to click that subscribe button to join our family, honor your physical temple, execute your daily reset, and I will see you in our very next episode. Stay strong, look straight ahead, and step forward with absolute power.